Well, more emails from Sony have leaked. This time it's Ben Affleck in the crosshairs. The movie star was featured on the PBS show Finding Your Roots, which digs up interesting facts about the ancestry of famous people. When it was Affleck's turn, the show's researchers discovered that one of his ancestors was a slave owner. Ben wasn't having it. The leaked emails show that Ben tried to get host Henry Louis Gates Jr. to remove the slave owner ancestry from his family tree. Gates complained to his boss that the removal would be against PBS rules, and that at least 4 guests in the series have already revealed slave owner ancestors. But PBS, Henry Louis Gates in particular, it appears, caved. They did reveal, however, that Ben Affleck had another relative who fought in the Revolution. And oh, how proud Mr. Affleck was of that.
This means he enlisted in the Revolutionary Army in 1776?
That's right. Your 6th great-grandfather volunteered to serve in the Patriot Army.
Wow.
He fought, Ben, in the American Revolution.
Wow. That is incredible.
You are descended from a patriot.
And a slave owner. But that didn't make it in. Ben Shapiro is editor-in-chief of Truth Revolt and radio host for KTTH in Seattle. Ben, good to see you. So it's wonderful. He's descended from a patriot. But then things took a turn for the worse, and we weren't going to find out about it. What does this say about him and some on the left who are so politically driven and quick to judge others?
Well, it's kind of amazing that he attempted to stifle it. I mean, of all the things in Ben Affleck's background, the slave owner 160 years ago, if that's what humiliates him rather than the fact that he starred in Daredevil and Geely, then he's got his priorities mixed up. But there are a lot of folks on the left who feel the need to kind of cover up for ancestral history because here's the truth of it. Ben Affleck has a wonderful family story if you include the slave owner, meaning if you have the slave owner, his mom marched in the Civil Rights Revolution in '64.
That made
so he could
the
have
peace.
said, look how far America has come. Yep,
that made the peace.
He could have said, look.
That's the problem. And how does this even arguably reflect on him as a man? I mean, to have an ancestor who was a slave owner, why not just own it? And in fact, in the emails, you can see Henry Louis Gates saying this is not a good decision by him. We've had many other stars, including, he points out, Anderson Cooper, who he said is descended from at least one slave owner, who he gives major props to for being really open about it. It doesn't reflect on Anderson.
No, I mean, Anderson Cooper came out and he said that he felt bad that he had an ancestor that was a slave owner, but the country had changed. If you're far enough left, if you're a devotee of Howard Zinn, which Ben Affleck is, and you believe that America bears collective guilt for all the sins of the past and there is no repentance, then of course you would attempt to escape that collective guilt by saying, well, my ancestors were never a part of that. That really is the only logical reason behind this, because, look, there's nothing to be ashamed of that your ancestors did things that are wrong. Pretty much everybody's ancestors did things that were bad. That's the point. We've progressed beyond that, and if Ben Affleck can't see that, then that's the real tragedy in all of this. Well, I mean, aside from the fact that he was in Reindeer Games and has been cast as Batman, which is its own tragedy.
Okay, but I think you're really giving short shrift to Good Will Hunting and Gone Girl, which just came out and was excellent. However, this is the same guy who says he can't watch a movie with a Republican in it because he knows he wouldn't like the guy. I mean, to be that sort of, you're bad, your sin is conservatism, while, you find out about your own family history that includes some sins in it, unsurprisingly, that has to be shut down so no one can judge you. Perhaps some open-mindedness would do the trick here.
Oh, the hypocrisy is amazing. I mean, the fact that he is so afraid of criticism from the right, presumably, that he wants to shut that down. The fact, by the way, that Henry Louis Gates went along with it is astonishing.
Well,
I mean,
he didn't want to.
Gates is an enormously
he didn't
powerful
want to. You can see in
figure.
the emails he was against it, but he recognized. He said this would be a violation of PBS rules, actually, even for Batman. And then they had a discussion about how it's going to get out. It's going to get out if we do this. And sure enough, it got out.
Yep, well, inconvenient news for Henry Louis Gates and for Batman as well. And Batman shouldn't keep secrets. Eventually, we will find out that he's Bruce Wayne.
Ben, you still have the opportunity to do the right thing. Embrace your history, not embrace the slave ownership, but who you are and how we've moved forward. And then you had a mother who marched in the civil rights movement, and we can all deal honestly in the facts and acknowledge our real histories. Ben, good to see you.
So President Donald Trump, the First Lady Melania Trump, visited Texas today to assess the damage and offer their support to the victims of Hurricane Harvey. Here's the president from earlier today. Take a look.
I can tell you that my folks just telling me how great your representatives have been in working together. It's a real team.
You know what? It happened in Texas, and Texas can handle anything. Thank you all, folks. Thank you. Thank you.
It's showing some tremendous love and coordination, and so many things are coming out in Texas. And I will tell you, the whole country, the whole world is really seeing and gaining such respect for everybody. And the job you have done is incredible.
Now, the president was on the ground doing what leaders do, and that's leading the recovery efforts that are still ongoing. But tonight, we have more evidence and proof, as if you needed it, that the president can do nothing right in the eyes of the establishment, destroy Trump mainstream media. Now, I told you last week, if Donald Trump cured cancer, the left in this country would still find a reason to hate him. Now, the left erupted earlier today when the president, the first lady, departed for Texas, leaving the White House. Why? All because Melania Trump was wearing heels to get on Marine One to Air Force One. Take a look at some of these insane, ridiculous reactions. Now, keep in mind, this is going on while portions of Houston are buried underwater and people's lives are actually being saved. Vanity Fair writes, quote, "Who wears stilettos to a hurricane? Melania Trump." People magazine put up the headline, "First Lady Melania Trump sticks to stilettos as she leaves White House for flood-ravaged Texas." And here's the headline from the Hollywood Reporter, quote, "Melania Trump wears her stilettos to tour Houston flood zone." No joke. And then CNN fake news, Amanda Carpenter tweeting, quote, "Someone tell Melania she might want a pair of rain boots." And, of course, the Trump-hating Hollywood liberal, Chelsea Handler, she got in on the action with this tweet, quote, "Melania taking off for Houston on Air Force One in stilettos." Now, the First Lady's office rightly fired back against this ad hominem attack at the absurd criticism by saying, quote, "It is very sad that we have an active, ongoing natural disaster in Texas, and people are worried about her shoes." Now, there's also the fact that after the First Lady did arrive in Texas, well, she wasn't wearing high heels. Look at this photo. Now, Melania Trump is wearing sneakers. It just shows how desperate, how petty, and how pathetic the left and the media is in this country, and frankly, just how low will these people go? They have these fake moral outrage. It seems feigning moral outrage. It knows no bounds. They will literally attack the president, the first lady, his family, his staff, anybody who likes him, is close to him, over any tiny, minuscule thing, no matter how absurd it may be. And that's not all. Some members of the Destroy Trump media were actually criticizing the president's decision to go to Texas and offer reassurance and help to the people in their time of need and suffering. Watch this.
Do you think he's going to be redirecting resources, though, but could those resources be used in Houston right now and other areas that are currently experiencing flooding?
It takes resources for a presidential trip like this, and some of President Obama's old aides say they support the idea that the president would go down there, but this is simply too soon.
President Trump is heading there today. Is that a good idea?
Well, I don't know.
Is it too soon for a presidential visit?
Too soon for the president to be there? Probably it is.
And after President Trump's visit, a reporter from the fake news network CNN claimed the president wasn't showing empathy. Really? Watch this.
One thing I am struck by here, seeing all the stories of emotion, all the stories of loss, of devastation still unfolding. We do not know the extent of the damage here. Very little in terms of empathy from this president. Very little in terms of emotion or talking directly to the people of Texas. He's been talking about the businesses, talking about the response and his crowd.
And CNN so-called Republican commentator Aba Navarro responded to a tweet from President Trump about leaving for Texas and writing, quote, "As if the people of Texas aren't already enduring enough suffering." Now, what's interesting about that, we learned today from a report that CNN's so-called Republican Navarro, well, she's donated a lot of money to prominent Democrats. What Republican would donate to the likes of Debbie Wasserman Schultz and other left-wingers that are out there and people on the left? It sounds like a fake Republican at the fake news network. More proof that the left is completely unhinged, and it is why we have now actually diagnosed them, considering they want to diagnose everybody else, and we call it Trump derangement syndrome. Now, the president did go down to Texas. He did offer his support, and he did let the millions of our fellow Americans who are suffering know that he will do everything in his power to help them. Yet somehow the left in this country, the media, they try to twist and distort the president's words and actions to score cheap political points, very cheap points. Texas has been devastated. They're part of our American family. They've lost lives. They've lost neighbors and loved ones. And so many others have lost everything they worked for their entire adult lives. They lost their homes, everything they own. This natural disaster is far from over. It's only the beginning of it. So you would think the left, you would think the hate, destroy Trump media would for a second maybe try to stop their smear campaign against the president, maybe just for one day while he's down there doing his job, trying to help people in need. I guess that's apparently too much to ask. And frankly, it's despicable and disgusting, and you people should all be ashamed of yourselves.